Hey, welcome back everybody. Liquor Hound joining you once again for another one of my YouTube videos. As you can see, today we're going to be covering my vodka collection. I apologize in the delay in getting this one out, but I've been focusing so much on my whiskeys and my rums as of late that I've really been kind of neglecting my vodkas. So I needed to take that time, go back in there, retaste some of these before I spoke about them. Fortunately, I had a friend come over the other day and we sat down with about 16. We did a pretty good mix. We took in all the award winners, all the big names, and we threw in a few of these lesser quality vodkas, so to speak, just to see how they would rate. And surprisingly, man, what we found was, once you take away all the accolades and awards that some of these have won, take away all that media hype and what you think you know about these bottles, and just let that spirit inside speak for themselves, sometimes you'd be amazed at what they have to say. Of course, with any spirit review, the one thing I can tell you is take them with a grain of salt because everybody's palate is different, okay? So what I'm looking for and what I find enjoyable in a certain vodka may not necessarily be what you're looking for. A prime example of that would be the buddy that I sat down with. He's more of a traditional style Russian vodka drinker, so he likes a little bit of the burn. He actually enjoys the grain and looking for those type of flavors. To whereas I'm pretty much the opposite. I'm looking for something that's super clean, yet zero to no burn would be preferable for me. And even though we're on opposite ends like that, we actually met right in the middle on the same exact bottle as our number one pick. Pretty impressive. But let's go ahead and get rolling so we don't take up too much time here and get going with Grey Goose Vodka. Of course, it had to be number one. Grey Goose for all those years was so famous for winning tons of awards. It's a 5-time distillation, uses a filtration technique using limestone. And what limestone does is it actually imparts a very smooth, velvety texture to the spirit. And I think that's probably what pushed it through all those awards years back. Unfortunately for them, nowadays I think there's vodkas that cost half, if not a third the price, that are just as good, if not better. One of those being right next to it, Imperia Vodka, coming out of Russia. It's actually an 8-time distillation, and they use a 2 times quartz filtration technique. Now, I think that's a proprietary thing because when I tried to research that, there wasn't too much information on as to what the quartz is doing to the spirit. But I can tell you that the spirit itself was mildly sweet, very clean, so you're not getting too much of any type of grain or corn flavor. And then it has a little bit of warmth and heat towards the finish. But overall, very, very nice vodka. Another very nice vodka is Tito's. Tito's is a 6-time distillation made in Austin, Texas. Won a ton of awards. It started out very small batch. I mean, as you can almost tell by the presentation, it's just a little paper label stuck on probably by hand. But overall, the quality is stunning. What makes them so special, I know they got a 95-point score by Wine Enthusiast magazine. And pretty much now, no matter where you go in the country, you can find Tito's. But like I was mentioning, the most impressive part of Tito's is its price point. You're looking at about $17 to $20 for a 750 milliliter. That is high quality stuff for that price. Rain Vodka. It's now actually an organic certified vodka. This is one of their first bottlings, so they don't really have that designator on it. Great stuff. Rain's always been a favorite since the day one when they came out. Very clean, very light, good flavor. Just a really high quality vodka. Next, Nonstop Vodka, Red Army. These two actually came out around the same time, around 1998. Unfortunately, they left around the same time in 2002. Nonstop really never got a big following, but Red Army did back in the day. Of course, the bottle shape being very unique, looking like an artillery shell, but the story behind it was pretty interesting. Supposedly, in 1917, Joseph Stalin was pretty upset with the vodka that they were serving to their military elite and dignitaries, so he demanded a new bottle recipe be created. They go back to the drawing board to come up with this recipe, supposedly the one that's in this bottle. And I don't know how true that is, but it is, like I said, very tasty, nice stuff. If you ever see that bottle, you definitely need to pick that up just as simply as a collector's item, as well as being high quality vodka. Next, Roc Vodka. This one's coming out of Sweden. This was the shocker. It came in 3rd place. Very amazing. Super clean, mellow, so mellow and smooth going in. Again, you're looking at a freeze filtration, and all that means is they're actually chilling this spirit down to below zero. And what that does is it thickens it up and makes it a little easier to pull out more impurities. They've done a really nice job. What's really impressive is the price point. About $10 to $13 for that vodka. Jeez, I mean that thing was killing $50 bottles, so very impressive. Ultimate Vodka, beautiful bottle. It's a Patron Spirits bottling, cobalt blue, little blown bubble down at the bottom. It's actually a distillation of grain and potatoes. Unfortunately, I think the spirit inside is not as nice as the actual packaging. Jean-Marc XO. Now this one is fantastic. It's actually using 4 rare French wheats, and they actually do a 9-time distillation as well as charcoal filtration on the spirit. Now the 4 rare French wheats that they're using really make an impression on the spirit. It's very unique in flavor. The flavor really lingers throughout the finish. Overall, really nice high-end vodka. My only reservation about it would be the price point. It is a little high. Patinka, another, as far as, and also this Regalia Silver next to it. Both of these are Russian vodkas. Patinka is limited edition. The only weird thing that I noticed when I was researching it was the reason they were using this batcher cap. Apparently they've been having a lot of counterfeit problems over there with their vodkas. So what they're doing, I guess, I don't know who's doing it, but they're dumping out the good stuff, putting in cheap hooch, when people are getting really sick off the stuff. So they just put that as a little, to make sure you know you're getting the real deal. Regalia Silver, another good Russian vodka, very smooth. Their main selling point is that they're using water from a 1,500-foot artesian well. Very nice stuff. And the other weird thing is that they say they're using silver in the filtration unit. Now I'm not sure if they're using like a silver lined unit or they're using like silver flakes and then filtering that out. But supposedly the reason behind that is for medicinal reasons. Anyway, not sure how that does, but the vodka itself is pretty tasty. Absolute Vodka, of course, been around, everybody's had it. No big deal. Belvedere, coming out of London, England. The only unique thing about that one is its color. It was the first vodka to have really color to it. And the way they do that is by using the berry off the catechu tree. It doesn't impart any flavor, strictly color. Sky and Sky 90. The only difference between the two is, of course, Sky 90 being 90 proof and Sky being 80. But Sky gets 4-time distillation and Sky 90 gets 5. Next to that, now, I don't want to upset anybody, but this one was a disappointment in our tasting. And it was really disappointing to my buddy because this is one of those that he really does normally enjoy in a bar. And so when we were talking about it and I pulled this one off the shelf, he's like, oh, that one's going to take at least top 3, you know. And I'm like, well, you know, let's let the test speak for itself. And once the results were in, I actually had this one at the bottom and he had it second from the bottom. I don't know if our palates, I don't know. That's just how it came up. So, like I said, I don't mean to upset anybody if that's your drink. Yeah, you enjoy it. But that's just how ours came up. Syrah Vodka, distilled from grapes. This one came in second. Fantastic stuff. The flavor on it was like Jean-Marc in that you could instantly pick it out. But the flavor just lingers on and on. It's not really that hot. Very, very smooth. Very nice. 42 below. I was expecting more out of this one, considering the hang tag was mentioning that it's the most awarded vodka and that money back guarantee. I think 42 below probably needs to be served, well, not to be funny, but it probably should be served 42 or below. I think if you chill it, it actually would work out really well, but when you just sip it straight, it's a little bit hot on the finish. Crop Organic and Prairie Organic. The main difference, they're both from the U.S. I think they're both from Minnesota. But actually Prairie is using a corn as their base and Crop is using organic wheat as their base. Both of these actually took double golds at this year's San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Prairie had done that once before in 2009. So again, good quality, nice stuff. Considering the price is only around $30 to $35, it's worth it. Vox coming out of the Netherlands, 5-time distillation. Again, another big winner as far as awards. Very good vodka. This one, Charbet, coming out of California, has won multiple awards. It's actually won the Spirit Journal's top spirit a couple times. And what I mean by that is they actually do a top 10 list every year of all spirits, and they just take the top 10 from every category. And this one's actually the only vodka to ever make it in that list twice. They gave it a perfect 100 score. Again, very clean, very nice. It probably ranked, I think it was either I think that came in 4th. Very, very nice, like I said. 4th out of a lot, it's pretty impressive. Belvedere and Chopin, the one thing all 3 of those actually have is that they're all 4-time distillations. Charbet is actually using a grain, and Belvedere is using rye, and Chopin is using potato as the base. They're all 3 very, very good for the money. Stolichnaya Elite. This one is one of your more ultra premiums, kind of like John Mark, where you're going to be having to pay like $50, $65 for that bottle. As far as Russian vodkas go, I would say it's worth it, simply because for a Russian vodka, it's very, very clean, very smooth, has a little bit of sweetness to it. A matter of fact, I think the Beverage Tasting Institute gave it 97 points, so that's pretty impressive. And even though it was impressive, this one was the winner. The Exchange. Unfortunately, it's pretty hard to find right now. It's just now coming onto the market. It's coming out of Sheridan, Oregon. This is from the same guy that makes Ransom Old Tom Gin. And if you've watched my gin video, you know how much I go on and on about that gin. Well, he's done it again with this vodka. Again, that was a blind taste test where this came in #1, so it's no allegiance to his gin, but I think what it has to do mainly with is the pot stills that he's using. They're copper. They impart a little heavier feel in the mouth. And then to top it all off, he's actually, probably not intentionally, but he's taken the best techniques from Grey Goose and Jean Marc and combined them as far as their filtration. He actually takes limestone and charcoal media and uses those in the filtration process. Fantastic stuff. Silky, smooth on the palate, very clean. Little, just a little touch of burn, but less than pretty much all the others. So that one rated #1. Fantastic stuff. Next, your regular Stoli. And then you have your Monopoloa. Monopoloa is a best buy. As you can see, we're getting into 1.75s. So I use these more often than not. Monopoloa has been around a long time. Uses a potato base. Again, for the money, it's hard to beat. Finlandia. This definitely costs more than Monopoloa, but it's worth it. Very clean. Touch of sweetness again. But you're not getting any real grain flavor or anything like that. But I find that one thoroughly enjoyable. Svedka, 5-time distillation. Their unique selling point is that they're using 3 pounds of grain for every 750 milliliter. Now, I don't know, what that means, but it does sound impressive, and that's what they're pushing. Again, I don't, coming out of Sweden, it's not as good as Roc, but it is good. So, for the money, it's worth having in your collection. Smirnoff, again, that's just if you're going to be throwing something in the blender, it's calling for vodka. Throw that in there. And here's one, the vodka. This one's also made by Ransom Spirits out of Sheridan, Oregon. But the unique thing on this one is he's actually adding a little bit of corn whiskey to the finished vodka. And so what that does is it adds a little bit of a malty flavor. So if you remember those old chocolate malt balls, candies as you were a kid, that's pretty much what that vodka tastes like. So if you're going to be mixing cocktails and it's calling for vodka, you may not want to use that. I was thinking, it's really a good sipping vodka, but if you wanted something to mix in a cocktail, you could probably throw that in with a little chocolate liqueur like Godiva, or even, you could shake that up and do some kind of like a chocolate malt martini, throw in a malt ball as the little garnish, or you could actually, I was thinking you could probably do that with like a vanilla infusion and give it like a little vanilla malt. Pretty nice. Anyway, still have to work on that. Next, Finlandia Grapefruit. I do enjoy that one. I also enjoy the Absolute Ruby Red. Works really well with fresh grapefruit juice making greyhounds. Absolute Courant and Absolute Vanilla, both great. And now here's the infusions that I'm doing. Of course, everybody's doing these nowadays. Any restaurant or bar that makes cocktails will usually have some of this in the back. It's pretty easy to do. There's all sorts of types. I mean, you can do peppers, you can do ginger, a lot of stuff. I'm just doing just regular vanilla, and then I'm taking an orange vodka and adding vanilla to it. The way you do this is you just take a bottle of vodka, whichever one you like, and then you add in, for a 750 milliliter, just about 15 vanilla beans will do it. You don't have to do gourmet vanilla beans. Just go on eBay, get you some commercial grade vanilla beans. I think they're called grade B. They work just fine. Cut them in half, throw them in the bottle, give them a shake every day, and in about 15-20 days they'll be ready. Now all you have to do once it's ready is strain it through a cheesecloth and possibly a coffee filter, and it's ready to go. These have actually been in there for months. I've been infusing them so long, it's almost become an extract, but it really still works. I mean, it's just used a little less, just a couple drops in a cocktail, and just adds a little unique flavor. Now we're going off the beaten path here. Tombo, it's a shoshu, and what that is actually like as it says right there, a Japanese style vodka. It's not like sake. A lot of people get that confused with sake, but sake is actually a brewed beverage. It's not like this one. This is distilled, so like vodka is distilled. The weird thing is that most of these are very low in alcohol by volume. This one's only 24%, so 48 proof. And the other good thing about these is the calorie count is really low on a lot of the shoshus. So if you are looking at kind of watching your calorie intake, you might want to substitute this for a vodka in a cocktail. You could probably have twice as many and not feel the effects as 80 proof, since you're halving that. But overall, very, very nice stuff. Last but not least, Pat's the Irish Poutine. From my understanding, in Ireland, it's actually pronounced Poutine. But what that is it's almost like their version of our moonshine. So if you go over to Ireland, you go into somebody's house, they might have some Poutine, in a closet that either a friend of a friend or maybe a family member made out in the woods or something. But over there, supposedly, it's very, very potent stuff, kind of like our moonshine. So you're talking 120 and up proof. This one's just coming out at 81, so it's not too bad. I really enjoy this one. It is pretty sweet, actually. But overall, very, very nice stuff. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued for quite a long time, but if you do happen to find it, it's worth adding to your collection. Well, that's it for today. Again, thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate all the great comments people have been leaving with bottle suggestions or just words of encouragement. Thank you. I'll keep trying to put out some good videos for y'all. And again, everybody take care and cheers.